Beautiful day, it's a beautiful time. Another opportunity has presented itself for us to talk about business, for us to talk about finance, for us to talk about economic issues and all the issues trending across the whole world. This is Early Exchange on Souq TV, and I am Femi Ayodele. I'm not alone as usual. I have a company. Blessing.
Good morning, Femi.
Good
I am
morning.
Blessing AJ, and it's great to know that you are watching the Early Exchange this morning. The show is always promised to be a very interesting one. We'll take a look at several issues that will benefit you, and as we always say, make you be in a position to make informed decisions so you can profit from whatever exchange that you do in your business and even in your personal life. Straight away, let's get it over now to Ola Oluwa, who will bring us updates on current happenings across the globe.
Good morning and welcome to the morning news update on Souq News. I am Olaoluwa Awe. The morning is looking promising all around the world. Let me get you started with the update. I start with Nigeria, where the new Minister of Works, David Umahi, has directed all contractors handling federal government highways in Nigeria to abandon the use of asphalt in favor of concrete technology. This directive has led to protests from contractors who argue that it breaches existing contracts and could result in substantial financial losses, as they have already invested in asphalt technology equipment and materials. They have warned that the shift to concrete technology could lead to the suspension of ongoing projects, redesigning of roads, increased importation of cement, and potentially higher costs for road construction in Nigeria. And moving on, President Bola Tinubu has praised Indian investors for pledging nearly $14 billion during the Nigeria-India Presidential Roundtable, encouraging them to invest in Nigeria, citing it as offering the best returns. Notable investment include $8 billion from Indorama Petrochemical for fertilizer production expansion, $3 billion from Jindal Steel and Power, and $1.6 billion from Skipper Sail Limited for 2,000 megawatts of new power plant in the northern part of Nigeria. The president emphasized Nigeria's commitment to fostering a conducive investment climate and expressed pride in the record-breaking performance of the Nigerian stock market during his tenure. And moving on, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has approved an increase in the price of prepaid electricity meters, with single-phase meters now priced at 81,975 naira and 16 kobo, up from the over 58,600 naira price, and the three-phase meter now at 143,836 naira and 10 kobo, up from over 109,000 naira as per a circular dated September 5, 2023. The adjustment aims to strike a balance between meter asset providers, MAPs, and end users as the customers, allowing MAPs to recover reasonable cost while preventing excessive pricing for consumers. And the Department of State Services, DSS, has arrested some officials of the Nasarawa State Emergency Management Agency and their associates for allegedly diverting palliatives intended for vulnerable citizens. The suspects are accused of selling these palliatives in Lafia's Modern Market and other locations. The DSS spokesperson, Peter Afunaya, confirmed that the agency has recovered some of the diverted items and is conducting similar operations in other states across the country. Also, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has stated that he will not ignore the concerns and red flags raised by citizens and aviation agencies regarding the concession of Nigeria's 4 major airports and the Nigeria Air project. He emphasized that both projects remain suspended until final decisions are made by the federal government. Additionally, Keyamo mentioned that construction on the second runway project, which involved compensating affected residents, is set to begin next week, indicating progress in airport infrastructure development. And moving on, away from Nigeria, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has raised concerns about the country's rapidly growing population, emphasizing the need to slow down its birth rate to prevent a potential crisis. From the current rate of over 2 million, al-Sisi stated that Egypt should aim to reduce its annual birth to 400,000 in order to effectively provide employment opportunities and social services for its citizens. Speaking at the inaugural Global Congress on Population, Health and Development, he hinted at the possibility of adopting measures similar to China's one-child policy, which he viewed as a successful approach to population control, adding that other African countries should consider population control measures, given the continent's limited resources in the face of surging population growth. Sudan's government has encouraged airlines to resume flights to Sudan after Egypt Air became the first commercial flight to enter or leave Sudan since its descent into conflict in April. Egypt Air flights carried more than 100 passengers from Egypt's capital, Cairo, to the eastern Sudan city of Port Sudan on Tuesday morning and returned to Egypt in the afternoon. Red Sea State Governor Fathallah Haj Ahmed told media that the flight by Egypt Air signaled that Sudan is safe and stable for international flights. And moving on, African leaders have issued a declaration proposing new taxes across the world to fund action against climate change. The Nairobi Declaration was issued at the end of the three-day Africa Climate Summit in the Kenyan capital. The heads of state say the declaration will form the basis of their negotiating position at November's COP28 summit in Dubai. Researchers say that despite suffering from some of the worst impact of climate change, the continent only receives about 12% of the financing it needs. And away from that now, East African leaders, EAC, have agreed to extend the mandate of a regional military force deployed in the conflict-ridden eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, following a summit held in Nairobi. The East African community, consisting of 7 nations, had initially sent troops into the volatile area in response to the resurgence of the M23 rebel group in November. Following a summit held in Nairobi, a statement from the EAC revealed that the heads of state have decided to prolong the mandate of the regional force until December 8, pending an evaluation report. It is now time to give you reports from the Middle East and other parts of the world. So coming your way in a jiffy are the most important developments in those parts of the world. So stay tuned. And welcome back to the morning news update. In case you're just joining in, I am Olaoluwa Awe. And the United Arab Emirates UAE has launched its Sustainable Finance Framework as part of its long commitment to sustainability. The new framework allows for the issuance of green and sustainable debt instruments to finance projects which enable the transition to a low-carbon and climate-resilient economy. The framework also provides the distribution of social debt instruments, leading to a positive societal impact. The framework will also cover Emirates NBD group entities such as the Emirates NBD, Emirates Islamic, Dennis Bank, and Emirates NBD Asset Management, and will accelerate the group's efforts regarding innovative sustainable finance offerings. Moving on now, still in the Middle East, let's touch on this. Emirates Airline experienced a busy summer, carrying over 14 million passengers with an average seat load factor of over 80% across its global network between June and August. Dubai remained a popular destination, attracting 2 million travelers during the summer months, with top inbound markets including the United Kingdom, India, Germany, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, China, Egypt, and Kuwait. Emirates anticipates increased demand for travel to Dubai during the winter season due to global conferences and events, and it has continued to invest in its services and products to meet customer preferences. Moving on now, Southeast Asian leaders have condemned the ongoing violence in Myanmar, directly attributing the bloodshed to the military generals who seized power in a coup in February 2021. The 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nation, ASEAN, convened in Jakarta after the generals failed to implement the previously agreed upon 5-point consensus aimed at resolving the crisis. Myanmar, also an Asian member, has been excluded from high-profile events due to its failure to adhere to the 5-point consensus. In response to the Asian statement, Myanmar's foreign ministry rejected it, asserting that the views expressed were not objective and the decisions were biased and one-sided. Moving on now, heavy rain caused by the remains of Typhoon Haikyuu has led to flooding in southeastern China, especially in Fujian province. This has forced schools to close, stopped public transportation, and made thousands of people leave their homes. More than 36,000 people have been evacuated from their homes, and the floods damaged power and communication systems. Also, a large area of farmland got flooded, causing losses estimated at $75 million. And away from that, billionaire Elon Musk reportedly withdrew a $1 billion loan from his rocket company SpaceX around the same time he was in the process of acquiring Twitter, now rebranded as X, for $44 billion. This loan was backed by a portion of Musk's SpaceX stock and received approval from SpaceX board in October. Musk's ability to leverage his ownership stakes in various companies, including Tesla, has been a long-standing practice, and SpaceX has often served as the lender. And that's our package today on the Morning News Update. Thank you very much for watching. I am Olaoluwa Awe. Stay tuned for analysis.
Thank you for staying tuned to Early Exchange on Souq News. This is the time when we analyze some stories in the news, and the gentleman in the studio will help me do justice to that. I have Idausa Osamanze, Director, Research and Policy, Africa Development Studies Center, and Femi, of course, you've already seen. Now, it seemed like there was one story, actually, that was not in the news, or I did not read that to us, because from the way Idausa Osamanze looks, it seems his status has changed from Mr. to Honorable, because at the end of yesterday's show, we talked about legislative processes yesterday, and then we agreed on the table that he should become an Honorable member, he should get into the House. So it seems that happened yesterday. Ola did not tell us. So let us ask Idausa Osamanze, what has changed from yesterday to now? Because he looks so honorable this morning.
Well, I'm hopeful now because with the verdict yesterday from the tribunal, there's hope that I can get my own ticket.
You look wonderful.
Thank you.
Whenever you dress like this, it makes me feel like it's Friday, so it's O1 bedtime.
Yes, today is a special O1
We can't wait
this is special O1 So we are in the heart of Lagos. So anywhere you see food, just start to eat.
Good. That's all development. At least it's developing stomach infrastructure.
Oh, yes.
All right, now moving into the news analysis, we have a story about the new Minister of Works, David Umahi, who's directed all contractors handling federal government highways in Nigeria to abandon the use of asphalt in favor of concrete technology. Yes, the directive has led to protests from contractors who argue that it breaches existing contracts and could result in substantial financial losses, as they've already invested in asphalt, technology, equipment, and materials. Idosa, the use of concrete technology for road construction instead of asphalt. Ordinarily, that may seem like, okay, it's going to be to make the work more durable. But the contractors are arguing that it's a breach of the contract and it will impact greatly on them financially, as they've already ordered asphalt. So they are also threatening to abandon work. What is the way to go here?
Well, I think for me, Umahi was very clear in his assertion on these issues, that he has used concrete in Ebonyi State as governor. And from all the analysis, and also being an engineer, that it's even cheaper to do road with concrete than with asphalt. So it's not the cost supposed to be rising, the cost is supposed actually to be going down. But I think what people have gotten to, and I think we must also get to that point in Nigeria, that where people are not held accountable when contracts are signed. Take, for example, if there are service level agreement with this contractor, that if you use this asphalt on this road, it has to be durable and spend up to 10 years before there's a crack on it. And if there's a crack, they have the responsibility to come and maintain that road for a period of 10 years. They will not be arguing that they want to leave what they are doing. You see, a lot of people have been taking advantage, you see, of the way the system has been designed to run to favor particular individuals. I think that even the contractors themselves also need to be even sensitive to the plight of the nation. It's not just about ripping up money. Because we see, for example, this Ibadan, Lagos Express Road, stress. We have been on it since 1999 date, over 23 years. You do it, there's rain come after the following month, then of course the repair is starting somewhere else. Who is bearing the brunt? It is the government and the people of Nigeria. And I think it's time that government really need to take contracting very serious, where people are being sanctioned for not doing their job well. Elsewhere, when contracts are signed to contractors, road contractors, their service level agreement are signed to say this is the duration or the durability of this road for a number of years. And if this does not happen, such people are blacklisted. They have not been able to prove the durability of the road. Now, if you go to some of these roads that have been done in the last 2 years, they're already fading out. So I think people should have the nation in their heart while they are thinking about profitability. This is where we as a nation need to work. And thank God today we are still looking and speaking to issues about value and public policy.
You see, what I see playing out here is, a clash of interest. You have the minister, on the other hand, he just assumed office, and when coming into office, you come with this vision, new vision, with new strength, and being an engineer and someone who has done something similar to this is coming up with a new idea. On the other hand, you have the contractors who are business owners, who are looking at their business interests. The minister is looking at the interest of the nation. a situation where you have the duration of this project. So it's just a clash of it. And naturally, when you're bringing new things on board, you know, people tend to resist change, you know, because it is necessary. The minister feels it's necessary for him to be able to deliver. He has a mandate to deliver. He's looking at delivery. While the other and the contractors are looking at the papers they've signed, you know, the expenses they're going to incur when they change the method. And so for me, like Idahosa said, what's more important is to do what's in the interest of the nation. I want to see a situation where you have roads in Nigeria that will last for 20 years, that will last for 30 years, that won't have to keep spending money. Imagine, since 1999, we've been spending money on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway for almost 23 years. I think with this, we're looking forward to a station, we'll find an end to the issue of just wasting money.
But to maintain some level of consistency, so it doesn't seem like there's actually a breach of contract, because when contracts are bidded for, the bidder submits quotation. So what did the quotation state? Did they state that they were going to use concrete or asphalt? What was approved? So I think that to maintain that, yes, it's good that the minister is actually asking that concrete technology be used for road construction instead of asphalt. But I think it should have been with new contracts, not with already signed or approved contracts. So it doesn't seem like, oh, this was not the agreement, this was not what we it seems to be like a kind of interruption in an already agreed process. So I think maybe it could have just allowed the already approved contract go the way, but ensure that standard is maintained. But going forward, new contracts should take this.
Yeah, but you see, everywhere in the world, and I think these things are done, people have to renegotiate. This is a new regime, and this contract, have they been fully executed? No. What's the level of investment in the asphalt, so-called asphalt? This thing has to be examined, and I'm not thinking that the minister is insensitive. But I think what he's speaking to is the issue of quality. That if we have to deliver something, we have to deliver it qualitatively. And I think the onus is also on the contractor to say, okay, well, they can, of course, say, because the provisions are also there on the Procurement Act, that if the ministers so feel that the state of the road as it were now, and they can show proof that they have done some substantial investment in asphalt, and then they are asking that they should use concrete to do the road, what they should do is to go to the minister on negotiation table to say, okay, we've done SY investment on asphalt. How do we balance this? Are we going to share the risk and the loss? And if there's a new BOQ on the use of concrete, which is far higher than asphalt, how do we do with the excess? So, of course, the contract can be renegotiated. But I think what is important is that we have quality in our roads, that when we finish one road, because government is supposed to be a continuum. This is what we were saying yesterday, where you find a situation, the same road will be on same budget for 10 years, 20 years, because you are doing shoddy job, and we will need to repair it by another regime. But I think we should just get to that point where we get to say, okay, well, let's start to do things right. That for me is what it is. So that if you have not invested so much in asphalt, if there is a need for variation in costs because of the new command, I think they should go to the negotiation table with the minister, not threatening the state.
That's a concern for me. The quick resolve to suspending ongoing projects, that's too erratic, and I think they should have used better words. Like you said, renegotiation. So if there's a window for renegotiation, they should have suggested that, not outrightly saying that it could lead to suspension of ongoing projects. So that seemed more like a protest taken too far, and it's not a good thing that we should be looking to. I've seen roads constructed using concrete technology, and I've seen the ones constructed using asphalt, and the ones
just look at the concrete. I'll show the road.
Yes, because maybe it has a higher layer, sort of, so it's not easily eroded by flood. But what we even have, the problem we even have with those roads constructed with asphalt is that it's just a single layer. It's more like you sprinkling asphalt over earthen road, and so it doesn't last long. That has been the primary problem with the use of asphalt, because they just want to minimize the quantity that they use. So I think sometimes room should be made for renegotiation, for dialogue, rather than an outright resort to some form of protest by saying it may lead to suspension of ongoing projects. So who's going to suffer for that? The citizens, and it's not a good thing at all. All right, moving straight now on to power issues. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, has approved an increase in the prices of prepaid electricity meters. Single-phase meters will now cost 81,975 naira. They used to cost 58,600 naira. And then three-phase meters will now cost 140,000 naira. Rather, 140,836 naira. They used to cost 109,000 naira. And increasing the cost of prepaid meters, there are two major concerns. First of all, a lot of consumers have complained about not even having meters that are being paid for. So increasing the cost of meters, does that now automatically guarantee availability, that when you pay for one, you are getting it? Femi?
Well, it calls for concern. You have a situation here that as a customer, you want value for your money. And here you have a situation that the meter is not even available. Maybe for cities like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, yeah, provisions are being made for these things to be available. And average Nigeria now understand the impact of having a prepaid meter, because as a consumer, you want to save money, because you understand with the economic realities, you have priorities, you have expenses. So they're looking at how to save money. So for me, this kind of development for a consumer will be uncomfortable with it, because you've prepared that something you used to buy at the rate of 50,000 naira, now it's 90-something thousand naira. But the issue here is the fact that even the availability of the meter, it's questionable. In some remote areas, in villages, you see situation that these things are not available. There are people who can afford to pay for it because they know the efficiency of this material, this equipment. But if they are not available, it makes it look as if they are not going to get justification for the expenses they are going to make. So it's part of the economic realities that we are facing at this time: cost of inflation, increase in prices of goods and services, even the cost of production, because, fuel has increased, removal of fuel subsidy, and for producers, for the manufacturers of this prepaid meter is another factor. The cost of operations will have increased, and that's what is leading to all this. And then, but interestingly, all this is being pushed to the consumer, the end user at the end of the day, and that's just the way it is. But for me, I think since we all understand the necessity of having prepaid meter, let's just see what we can do to ensure that we strike a balance.
Okay, two things I'm going to take out of a lot of things that you said. One, justification. What is the justification for the increase in the price of meters? Now, if you ask Discos, they will tell you that most of these meters are imported. Now, my question is, do we lack the technology? Do we lack the capacity to actually have these things produced locally, Idelsa?
You see, this is the real fundamental challenge for me, that the level of rent seeking in Nigeria is terrible. Who is the owner of the meter? Is it the consumer or
No,
the disco?
The Discos.
Now, if you want me, why do you want me to come and patronize you to buy meter? Then allow the boys in Alaba to bring meter into the place. If I need a meter, I go and buy my own. So when I'm living where I am, I can carry it along. How will I invest my money to buy a property for you to make profit? You see, this is where, of course, those who are in position of authority must begin to interrogate this over-profiting nature of business people in Nigeria. It doesn't happen anywhere. It's only in this place that I have to buy a transformer to service a disco to give me light that I will pay for. This is absolutely unacceptable. If these people don't have power to provide infrastructure, they should do the one they are capable of doing. So I can buy my own meter anywhere I want it and use it to monitor. So if it's my property. So even if I buy it 1 million in the market, that's not their business. But now you are going to give me a meter and say you are increasing the price, so that, of course, you will use it to bill me. For me, it's unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. There is no justification for it. They are in business. And whatever that, it's just imagining that you are asking, you want to do service, and somebody is telling you the thing that you are going to use to deliver service to a person, the person is paying for it, the man is paying for the light, is paying for everything, and then he's still the one. You are saying, oh, you have to buy the meter. Now, what is the real problem? Is the problem of agency. We have people who are in Nigeria who say they are meter distributors in the value chain of electricity. And those people are holding a whole lot of people to ransom. And this is why you see the cost of things in Nigeria is on the roof. Because the agency practice in Nigeria is absolutely not necessary.
I wish we had more time to look at this because there are several angles to this issue. Now the meters are going to cost more. It makes it quite out of the reach of a lot of people, and that gives room for estimated billing, which is an issue that consumers have been fighting with the discourse. We'll talk about this another time, but now we need to go on a break so we can look at strategic planning in national development. Stay tuned.
Glad to have you join us. It's Steve Early Exchange, and we are set to bring you the main discussion for the day. Today we'll be looking at strategic planning and economic goals. What does that suggest to you as an individual, as a business owner? What do you need to do to understand the concept of strategic planning and setting economic goals? Even for us as a nation, as a continent, how important it is. To help us shed more light on this, we're joined by Dr. Francis Musa Damboyi. He's a chartered psychologist. For 29 years, he has been engaging in competence enhancement skill, and is here to do justice to the topic. Dr. Damboyi, glad to have you join us on Early Exchange. Doctor, you might need to unmute yourself so that we can have a smooth conversation here. Can you hear me, Dr. Damboyi? Glad to have you join us. Good morning, Doctor. Okay, Blessing. Let's talk about how significant it is when it comes to strategic planning, you know, as an individual, starting as an individual, as a nation, as a continent. You know, most of the time as an individual, you set goals for yourself. You talk about financial goals, personal goals, family goals. In every aspect of you set goals. As a nation, why do you think it's important for us to set goals, you know?
Of course, it's important to set goals. If not, it would just be somebody working aimlessly without knowing where to go. Goals help you know when you've arrived at your destination. It's like you want to travel to somewhere. You just leave your house and somebody asks you, where are you going to? You say, I'm just going to where? You don't know. But when you set goals, it then determines the plans that should follow
sir, can you check
in order for you to get to your goal, which is your end point. So the goals will determine the plans, it will determine the resources that are needed, and it will determine the scale or the other actions that will follow up, and that is where strategy come in. Because sometimes when you look at your plans, you may see that there are different obstacles, there are things that could impede those plans from coming to reality. So you need to plan on how you're going to beat those obstacles, how you're going to manage your resources, how you're going to make good use of time. This is where strategy comes in. Now, for a personal business, yes, that could mean that the location of your business has to change. It could also mean that the way your products would have to change to fit the exact need of your customers. It could also mean that the packaging of the product would need to also change to give it maybe a new look and maybe a new feel that makes it more appealing to consumers. Now, bringing it home now to national development, of course, every government, I'm talking about administrations now or regime, sets for itself different goals they want to achieve. But, like I said, in every goal, there may be impediments, there may be different things that will serve as an obstacle to achieving that. How do you creatively achieve your plan? That is where strategy comes in. For instance, government says that they want to reduce the rate of unemployment. How do you achieve that? Is government going to now create bring more people into its employ? Or is government going to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive so they can have more people come on board, so you can have more people become entrepreneurial, thereby reducing the rate of unemployment? So these are some of strategies that can be employed for the achievement of certain economic goals.
I like the word strategic or being strategic about, you know, plan. It's not just about planning. There are times you plan, but when you are not being strategic about it, it means that you are not putting into consideration the sensitive factors that are needed to be put into consideration for this plan to reach your goal. There is just a lot of people plan, and because it's expected, maybe as a business owner, you make plans, you know, do paper plans. You know, there's this saying that when you fail to plan,
you've planned to fail.
You plan to fail. So people make plans sometimes and say, oh, in fact, as an individual, set goals for yourself that, okay, in the short run, I'm going to do this. In the long run, I'm going to do this. within few months, I'm going to achieve this. You set monthly goals, quarterly, even yearly, you set goals for yourself. But you discover that in the end, or down the drain, you discover that even some of these goals are not being achieved because the word strategy is missing. That's the missing link between what you're planning and the result you're expecting, the word strategy. And if you look at, a nation like Nigeria and extension Africa, that's the missing link where you have strategy. People plan. There are instances where you do your budgeting, you include several projects, but if you look at the performance of the budget over the year, you discover that the word strategy is missing. When you discover maybe for over years now, budget performance has been performing below 30%. And that's why it's important to be more strategic. In fact, for nations, developing nations, it is more expected, to be more strategic in our national planning so that you have a situation that the goals that are being set as far as ministries, different ministries, different projects, different areas of life, the targets are being met. And so these are things that are very crucial for us to look at and to be able to have a better economic goals. For you to set economic goals also is very important. How do you want to spend your money? Where do you want to spend your money? And for you to also achieve your goal, the issue of timing is very important. Break it down to time. Is it going to be a short term? Is it going to be a long term? Is it going to be an annual investment? Is it going to be a daily investment? These things are very important. So it's good to be strategic. You do your paperwork, but more importantly, above doing paperwork, it is the implementation, the action.